Hey guys, Dante here, and welcome back to Quick Vids, where I show you how to make a prop or costume in a short amount of time. So after my last video of how to make a brain of any shape and size, people started asking me, hey, how do you make puppets? I said, you know what? I'm in a puppet mood. I've been watching a lot of Jim Henson, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth lately. Why don't I show you how to make a puppet? And what I'm going to show you? Well, not just a puppet, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you how to make a puppet that is the Piranha Plant from the game Mario, or rather Super Mario Brothers, and every iteration afterwards. So that's our topic today. A puppet made of foam and cloth based on the Super Mario Piranha Plant. So let's jump right into it and see what we got, shall we? Okay guys, so here we are on the floor with all the tools we're going to need. We have our cutting tools. I got a pair of scissors here. You can also use an X-Acto knife or razor blade, but of course be safe. Our foam, this is their standard upholstery foam. Pretty cheap, you can get it at any fabric store. This is about a 1/2 inch thickness. Our gluing adhesive tools, if you want to call them, our adhesive tools, I like that, adhesive tool. It's a contact cement. It works very well on the foam. You can use a glue gun, but the glue gun might damage the foam. I say use this when putting details on top of your puppet, like eyes or noses. You might want to use this for later. And of course, speaking of later, we have the different types of fabric we're going to use and the matching string. I'm using felt. I want this whole thing to be soft and cuddly and cute. And of course, as mentioned before, your main pattern. Now, this template, whatever template you're using, always refer back to the original template, this piece. So if you cut a piece of foam out, don't use that foam to do the next piece. Go back to the template. If you want to do the felt over the entire puppet, and I'll show you that step later on, refer to the template. This is your keystone for the entire piece. So let's cut this out. Let's see if the alteration I did looks good, and then from there we'll go to the sewing part for the fabric. Let's get started. Okay, so we have our two pieces which will mirror each other quite nicely, and we're going to apply the contact cement. Contact cement usually takes a few minutes to really take hold before you then connect it. It says 15 on this. I give it like 5 minutes, to be honest. Shake it up. Don't get the stuff on you. It does dry by itself pretty quickly, and it gets stuck everywhere, which is why we're using the almighty cardboard floor covering for today. So I'm just gonna basically start with, let's start with the ridges. We'll do all of these ridges here. In fact, let's do all the ridges. Boom, 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 boom. Let it dry. Adhere it. And while that continues drying, we'll do this one as well. And then we'll sandwich the whole thing together. Shake it up. And let's go. Now, when you're doing this inner curve, just curve it to here and put the glue down. For the bottom half, estimate how much of this will touch the bottom half. Don't glue this. This is your puppet's palate, the inside roof of their mouth. This is their palate. This is kind of their smirk. So you want to make sure the smirk stays in place, but not the palate, because then he can't open his mouth. This glue basically becomes really tacky within the first few minutes. Oh, you get a little bit of time to correct the seams, but not much, so you want to be careful. And now we put glue here and all of here and attach it. Obviously you don't want to glue the mouth shut, that'd be kind of stupid. You don't want to glue the neck shut because your hand goes in there. So let's put all the glue here on both sides, and we'll have our finished circular head. Alright, giving good time to dry. Moment of truth, my friends. Let's start with the top of the bottom jaw. You want that to line up for sure. Let's see. Yeah, a bit of an indent due to my cut, but the foam is soft, so I will give to it. Just give it a good squeeze. Make the curve work for you. Don't be afraid. Make the curve. Oh. It dried really quick. And let's work with the top of the puppet's head, or rather the top front jaw. You want to line that up. And carefully make sure everything lines up as good as possible. And don't forget to pinch. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Now you know you're on the right track as long as you get the cross seams here to match up as good as possible. I'm going to add some more pinching, make sure everything lines up nicely. And there we go. One round puppet head. Oh, let me squeeze that out with a curve at the bottom. It does kind of have a gullet kind of look. But once again, this is all practice. In fact, if you wanted to, if I wanted to, I could cut a more triangle seam here to have this curve a lot better. I might just do that. But yeah. One round puppet head. In fact, let me cut that right now. See how it looks. Yep, there we go. Like I said, I cut a little triangle, re-glued, re-adhered, and it does help the curve a lot more. Still a bit of a bump right here. Nah, nothing too horrible. We're now going to make the actual palette for the mouth. And we're going to do something really cool for this, so here we go. Alright, so to make the palette, you're going to need two things. One, a lightweight piece of cardboard. This can be anything from a cereal box to this miscellaneous piece of, well, not cardstock, not cardboard, but strong enough. You're going to need also a regular piece of paper. Take the paper and just stick it in the mouth. And don't squeeze the mouth. You want to stick the paper all the way in until he reaches the edge of his mouth and open the paper up. And then from there, just trace it. You can do it lightly. So in this case, we're not using the template. We're using the already made foam and the shape it now holds. That's the bottom and then the top as well. There we go. I don't know how well you can see that. There, you can see it pretty well. Good. So you then cut this out. You're going to do some trimming. You're going to do some adjustments. Notice that the top obviously is larger than the bottom, so it's not always a matter of simply folding it and cutting it around. You have to actually do a little bit of measurement. This is your template for using the cardboard, which would then be used for the puppet's mouth. But this is going to be special, like I said, so let me cut it out, and then I'll show you exactly why it's going to be so special. So here we go. This is the palette of our puppet, and the surprise is that this guy is going to be able to eat small figurines. I put a little hole inside the mouth. Jim Henson once said whenever he wasn't sure of how to end a skit, he would either have the character explode or be eaten. And now that I've said that, you will now remember all the times watching the Muppet Show where people either blew up or got eaten. Gonna let this dry a little bit. This is once again the epoxy we've been using. Sorry, not epoxy. The contact cement. It's ready on the mouth rim as well. Put it right there, and it should hold quite nicely. Our puppet's palette is in place. Say that 5 times fast. Puppet's palette is in place. The one thing that I didn't expect from changing the original template by moving the puppet neck further back on the head. Here's an overbite. Look at that. Meh. But that overbite just gives him a lot more character, and it gives me a chance to give him cute little fangs that stick out. So I'm happy with it. So now we've returned back to our original template. We're going to use the template to cut out a pattern from the felt cloth. We're pretty much making the skin for our puppet. Now, in case you're wondering, just as I trimmed the edges here, I trimmed a small piece off of the template, so now it better matches it, so it should fit just fine. Before you begin cutting, measure it out a little bit more, pretty much larger than the actual template. It gives you enough room to put all the stitching around it. You're going to take 2/2, stitch them together, turn it inside out, and that makes your skin. Manly. Let me show what I'm doing over here. So here's our pattern cut from the original template. I'm sewing the seams pinched like this. For when we turn it inside out, it hides as much of the stitch as possible. I'm doing all the little cuts along the rim of the head first, and then I'll sandwich both pieces together, and we'll turn the whole thing inside out and stuff the foam head into it, kind of like a sock. And that should fit nicely around, and it should be snug and tight. Let's keep going. Now after you sew it, you might have a little bit of extra material on the edge. You can always trim that right off, but be careful because felt cloth is soft and malleable. You don't want to trim so much the stitches all pop off, but getting rid of that extra fabric will definitely help remove any weird shapes from the final product. With our skin firmly in place, we take the hot glue gun and carefully pinch the skin around onto the palette. You might get a little folding around the edges, but for this puppet that's okay, because don't forget, piranha plants have big lips. Now usually the lips, the spots, and the teeth are all white. But I do have this nice kind of organic brownish beige color. I don't know how well it shows up on this camera. I'll try and get a better shot later. I'm thinking of making the lips this color to make it really stand out against the white spots. And the inside of the mouth, instead of just getting a dark red, which is what it is normally, I figured we'll go for a dark green. We have a light green for the stem and leaves, but a dark green for inside the mouth. And I'm going to show you a nice trick of how to fake details around the mouth with a simple piece of black cloth. And if I can, I'll put a little tongue in there. So here is what's going to be the inside of our puppet's mouth. This is the palette. Usually it is, of course, pink or red. This is green, like I said. And what you would do is the entire palette first has a black felt cloth, and then this goes on top, which overall imitates the uvula, that little dangly thing in the back of your throat, that stuff. This is that, and then this is all the gums around it, and you can always add a tongue if you want. Now, I added the black on our puppet. In our case, our puppet has a hole in the mouth, like I said before, and this lays right on top. We're gonna hot glue it in place, and we will have all of the inner jaw finished. So once again, using the 3-step process of template on foam, and template on the cloth, I made the leaf, or at least one of the leaves. I knew I wasn't going to be able to fit the foam inside of the small sleeve, so I cheated, cut this slit, and I'm going to cover that slit with some darker green to give the leaf some pattern. That's one leaf right there. I might keep it at one, but you never know what's going to happen. Let's go to the next step. Okay guys, so now that we have the body pretty much all done, now it's time to add the details. I'm talking about the spots on the body, which I'm going to make out of this simple white felt. You can use anything as a, as once again your stencil, like the bottom of different round objects. They give it different shapes and sizes. As for the teeth, I wanted something soft, something malleable. EVA foam is nice, but it doesn't give as much as you would like. And you can go to some craft stores and buy soft foam of different shapes, especially combs, which are the shape of teeth, but they're not usually white, and to spray paint those a different color kind of takes away from the fact that you want it soft and movable. So instead, I'll be using this, a stipple sponge. It's soft, elastic enough not to completely rip, of course enough pull and it will tear, but you can also trim it, cut it, glue it on, and these are going to be the teeth for our puppet. Nice and soft, kid friendly. And also, I made this. I cut a round donut shape. This is the diameter of what will be the stem of the puppet, which is where my arm would go. The stem is just going to be made out of, once again, foam and cloth. This is the diameter of a pot I'll be making. You can make your own pot. Mine I made out of EVA foam, or you can buy one at any corner store for your plant to sit in. On the opposite side, once again, some felt cloth of different colors, browns, tans, to represent all the dirt at the base. So we'll glue it all together, and we should have our finished puppet. So let's get that hot glue gun out. Now with the last stitch sewn in and the hot glue finally cooled off, you have your completed Piranha Plant Puppet. Everyone say hi to Spot. Spot, say hi. This little guy was made, once again, using cloth, foam, EVA foam, and just lots of love. He's a baby piranha plant, which is why he only has one big leaf on him. His stem is separate from the soil pattern I put at the base, which means he can spin all the way around if I want him to. He can dip all the way down to the soil, because the base is hollow, of course, comes right out. And he can pop up and snap at whoever he wants. Speaking of which, thanks to the hole I put in the back of the mouth, which is covered by an inside flap, you can take this little decapitated plumber, stick it in his mouth, and it'll swallow it up, num 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 num, right into his gut, and right into the palm of your hand. Now I'm sure some of you out there with better sewing skills than I could have done a bit of a cleaner job, but the idea is still there. The pattern, going online, finding what fits you best, and if it doesn't fit you, alter it. This was an altered pattern of a round standard puppet head. So make your own puppet, make them square-headed, make them triangle-headed, make piranhas, make those cheap sheep everyone hates. Enjoy yourself, and of course, as always, be creative. So I'm going to leave Spot on my windowsill where you can soak up all that sun, just sunlight, and of course eat up all those pesky plumbers. Until next time, guys, I am Dante, this is Spot. Like, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the future. Later.